In this video, I go through the Notion subreddit and look at some of the dashboards and inspirational ways other people are using Notion in the Notion community. The first dashboard that caught my eye was a student dashboard, of course, because there's loads of students in the Notion subreddit, but this was actually showing their subjects page. So this is a page inside of what I would imagine is a database. I'm not sure, I can't tell from the breadcrumb, but you can see this is their subject page, and they have all of these subjects listed across the top. My first thought is, why don't they use a database for the subjects? And the reason this is because when you have all of them as pages, you get all these backlinks. So you can see 12 backlinks. I would imagine that's all the other pages. The second reason I personally would have them as databases is because when there are things that are consistent across the board, i.e. what the percentage or exams or anything like that are, you can put those as properties inside of that page rather than having to go in the page and then put something else in there, whether it's a note or something like that. And a perfect example of things like that is literally what they've got here, subject details. So teacher, email, mobile, etc. All that stuff could be in properties inside the database page, so they wouldn't need to have this section in the page. It would just be in the properties, which they can hide or show. It's up to them. Then as we scroll down, we have master calendar. Now, I would imagine they have a calendar view because it's calendar, but it's in a table format. So I'm guessing this is normally a calendar, but they've got it in the table view for the screenshot. I'm not sure, but if this is a calendar view, then I'm guessing these are subjects or lessons. If they are subjects and lessons, I'm just looking at the syllabus table. If these are subjects and lessons, and these are also subjects and lessons, because you've got week 1, this topic, why not just have the subjects and lessons here, then have the syllabus, and then just have your whatever your syllabus is. So when I was a student, because I've basically graduated now, we had a Word document or a PDF of the syllabus, so I could embed that at the top of the page and then scroll up and down for all the lessons, the week I was on, or any information I needed. That way, this database would just be an embed that you can interact with and scroll up and down. This calendar would be a calendar and you wouldn't need to relate it backwards and forwards or anything like that. And then you also wouldn't need to link this database in every single one of those subject pages because you can just have an embed at the top of every page and you could put that as a template rather than having the syllabus and then having to write out the syllabus from wherever you're getting it from. And again, grading system. They've got this as a database inside this page. Now, this could be properties inside the database, so a text property, 75 for this, 25 for this. Or if they're tracking their exams or their assessments, this could be an assessments database and then it can be linked with their subjects database. That way they can use relations and roll-ups going backwards and forwards. But because this is just a grading system and it doesn't seem to have any relations or links or anything like that, you're very, very limited. So this is basically just text in a page that happens to be in a database. That's just my thoughts anyway. Now this one caught my eye not because of the rest focus play GIF, because that's just cycling through. That doesn't really mean much to me on my dashboard, but they do have the Indify embed. Now I spoke about in the last video all the different add-ons and extensions and things you can put into Notion, and this is one of those embeds. I think it's the Lifeline embed or something like that. And it looks cool, don't get me wrong, but I'm not quite sure why it's on the main dashboard. For me, personally, I would have actions at the top and then have the embed somewhere else. And I'm looking at this dashboard and we've got a Kanban style view, which is cool, to do and doing. I'm not sure what the no status is for. For me, maybe this is just me being really, really picky and nerdy. But I would hide that and have it the other side so I can see what I need to do and then doing. Because I'm not sure what that would be for. Because if you need to do something, it will be in the to-do section. Because if you've just added something, you need to do it. So maybe they have a mental model as to what that section is for. But otherwise, for me, I would hide it. Something else I noticed on this page is they've got all of their pages here. I would imagine these are pages in their sidebar. So why they've recreated the sidebar, I'm not quite sure. There's obviously some reason for it, but if they're going to use the pages here, why not just use the sidebar? That would be a question that I have. Personally, if these were like quick links, I'd have quick links at the top. That makes sense, but you could do that in the sidebar and just favorite something. Just my thoughts. This slideshow of pages I really like, and why I really like it is because it's simple and basic. So when you start with Notion, databases, understanding where everything goes, it's very overwhelming and can be confusing. It also does limit you with some of the aesthetics with the pages. And as you can see, this page, a very nice aesthetic. So this looks like an image that they've put into Notion at the top. So they've got their cover photo, they've got the name, which looks like week. So I'm guessing this is a week page. I can't tell if it's a database or just a page. I think it's a page. Then you can see as we scroll down, they haven't used a database. They've used text blocks and just the strike through. And the reason this is useful in this use case, I can see the times in there. time blocking inside of Notion is quite challenging. It's not the easiest thing to do. And when you do it in a database, it can look very clunky and it doesn't work very well. Even with the timeline view, it doesn't work very well because you can go all the way down and then it blocks things up and it's hard to see and hard to view. And it's not the most aesthetically pleasing thing when you're looking at this design, from my opinion anyway. And moving through the slideshow, you can see they've kept up, so I'm guessing this is another picture dragged across so you can see it all the way through. And then they've got the to-do blocks at the bottom. I'm guessing these are just hit up tasks, make sure you do this thing throughout, throughout work and university and stuff like that. So it's a nice aesthetic through the page. A month page, very nice. And then we have the week. Oh yeah, so here we can see, so these are pages. Now, if these pages, the pages that we've got all that information on, if you don't need to review any of that information, you don't need to see any of that afterwards, fine, because it's not in a database anyway. But these pages, I'm assuming you're going to drag them to an archive page. Maybe there's an archive page down there somewhere. But if not, then you're going to have a long list of all of the weeks going on. And to go in them, you'd have to click and out, click and out, click and out, which essentially becomes like a digital hoarding issue. So what you could do, this is just an idea. So you could turn that into a database, like a weekly catalog database or something. So each of those pages is a page in a database. That way you can filter for certain pages in a week, certain pages in a month, tag weeks with certain effort or anything like that. And it's easier to sort the information that way, and it's easier to archive information that way and then resurface it rather than them just being pages. So maybe have a page for the 30th to the 6th of December, and then inside that page have the nice aesthetic. That's just an idea. Obviously, if you're not going to review information using relations and rollups because you've got the information as text blocks, just keep it like this if you like the aesthetic. So it was just an idea that came to mind when trying to apply the archiving in Notion. This one caught my eye because of all the images, and this is a really good use case for the gallery and the board view. And what they've done, I believe this is game specific. Yeah, so video games. So what they've done is they've taken the cover, the image, a character from the game. They've put that as an image inside the gallery view, and then they are tracking video games. I have no idea what they're tracking, but it looks really good, and it's a nice visual way to see everything. So just as an example from what I was talking about with the weekly agenda, you could have the 30th to the 6th of December as the view here. So you could see the whole year as a gallery view if it's in a database, just a different way to view information. So you see we've got backlog. So you can see they've put select properties at the bottom of the game, a very nice way to do things. I've also seen this applied for books, TV series and movies and things like that as well. I thought I would include this post just because of the caption of it. The dashboard is very, very simple, but that's the whole point. Friendly reminder, your dashboard can look not so great and still be highly functional. And that's the big thing about Notion dashboards. Your dashboard can look drastically different to everyone else's. You don't even have to have a dashboard. You could just have a to-do list, and that's it. That's definitely how I started with Notion. As long as you're getting something done, the dashboard's working. So just ignore what people say when it comes to aesthetics or dashboards or formulas or relations or anything like that. As long as you're getting something done, you're doing good. And there we go, scrolling down you can see another gaming backlog, but this time it's in a board view. So like I was talking about just a second ago, the board view with the gallery, so you can see all of the different games and stuff going along, and they're categorized. And this is great for CRMs. You could have pictures of people and then drag them across. They could be projects, they could be tasks. You could put houses in there, housing images and things to move across, or any sort of equipment and drag them across to buying, to buy, anything like that. Really cool. Now this video post was a really nice post because you can see what's actually inside the database. So you can see all the properties and all the stuff they have inside the page for their movie tracker. So the movie tracker here is basically the same application as the video tracker we just saw, but you can see all the properties going on. So they've got series that you can see they've actually got a relation. So they're relating series and TVs and movies and stuff together. So related things. So once they've seen something, they can go, oh, this is also similar. I'll watch that next. I would imagine they have a watch later list as well in here. And this is what I prefer to see when looking through the Notion subreddit, because looking at everyone's dashboard is great, but you don't get much of a context and you'd have to read a whole blurb about what's going on. So just a short clip like this, really, really cool, really useful, and it's nice to see what's inside of the pages. This dashboard was made from someone that's brand new to Notion. They put in their post that they've watched like 5 videos and started making stuff. And that's definitely how you should do it. Don't go binge watching loads of YouTube videos. So don't carry on watching my channel. Just go to Notion. I know as a YouTuber that's probably the worst thing to say. But as a person that wants to help people develop, go to Notion. Go figure out Notion. Understand Notion. Don't watch videos. But going down the dashboard, you can see we've got all the stuff at the top. And this is very typical. So you'll have a load of links at the top or at the side of the page rather than the sidebar. From what I've seen, most people prefer to have the links on the page as like a website and wiki and going through rather than the sidebar. But hey, that's all personal preference. Then scrolling down, they've got their task database, and I'm guessing this is a master task database because they've got it linked twice. Now, personal preference, I would have that above all of this other stuff because I want to get started. I want to get going as soon as I go into Notion. It also reduces that little bit of friction of, oh, I've got all of this other stuff at the top. What could I be doing instead of the stuff I actually need to do? Then scrolling down to the bottom, they have their habit tracker, and habit tracking in Notion can be done in lots of different ways. The reason I prefer doing it slightly different to this is this version it's perfectly doable. Obviously, you can use it. But what you can see up here, they've obviously got a template button. So they're using a template button with a database inside it. So when this week is done, because they go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as properties rather than pages, when this week is done, they then archive this database and then generate a new database. So every week they have a database. So at the end of the year, they're going to have 52 databases for the year rather than one database that they can just scroll and filter through. And how you could actually do that in just one database, it saves pushing the template button every week. And it also means when you add a habit, instead of having to add the habit here, then add the habit into the template database, you can just add the habit as a property and then it's applied to everything. So instead of having the days across the top as properties, you would have the days as a page. And then the habits would be across the top as properties. The advantage of doing it this way, or another advantage of doing it this way, is you can have a date property inside the page. So say this is a Monday of the week, for example. The date property could be today's date. Then you have all of the habits going across as tick box. I've done them, I've done them, I've done them, I've done them. And you can filter that for today, for this week, for last week, for yesterday, wherever. And then that's all in one database. So when the next day comes, it can disappear depending on the filter you have, add the new day, everything's refreshed, the date's already added, and you're all good to go. Then when you need to go and review that information, you can just click on the database and see everything. And rather having to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and then go down to the next one and then go across, it's just look at the habit. How consistent am I with this habit? How consistent am I with this habit? Etc., etc. Oh, this is a really nice use case. I just made it all sound, didn't I? This is a really nice use case, even though I personally wouldn't use this because my folder structure is very, very simple and basic. Everyone organizes their folders and stuff inside their documents differently. So what they've done is they've recreated their folder structure inside of Notion. They've used bullet lists, but they've tabbed them across to get that different hierarchy going down. And you can see that they've organized everything through colors and different tabs across so you can see what folders are inside of what folders, which is a really nice way to visualize as a big overview visualization of what is going on, what's stored where, and maybe creating links to different things. Again, not something that I would personally do, but a use case that could be interesting. Here's another video of a dashboard, and this one actually piqued my interest. Obviously, you can see we've got action items, media vault, so I'm imagining they've seen August Bradley's PPV system because it seems very PPV-like, but the inspiration that they've taken, they've obviously used some of the things there and then taken it and brought it into their space. Something I would say though that would drive me mad is you can't actually see what's going on with the properties inside the table because it's in a column. So I would probably put that in a list view or reduce some of the columns somehow because that would be annoying. This grabbed my attention at first purely because they have the tabs at the top, so they're using the Notion Expander. So I was curious to see how the Notion Expander's actually affected their dashboard. So you can see they've got home, coding, and web clips at the top. That's an extension that I explained in a previous video. Then at the top of their page, you can see we've got the toggles. Now I imagine they've opened these toggles for this dashboard, so these are normally closed, my guess. And you see you've got all of the linked pages that goes everywhere else, which I think that's very, very consistent, having all your quick links, your pages at the top of your page in case you want to dart all over the place. Maybe it's just me, but does anyone actually use the sidebar to navigate? I feel like everyone just uses it as a wiki page and click through all the pages on the page. And because all those toggles are normally closed, their things, so their to-dos, their inbox is normally right at the top, which is how I would personally have my page as well, so you can see everything that you're going to do. Now they've decided to use a gallery view, which is an interesting one. The reason I assume that they've used the gallery view is so they can see the priority, so you can see you've got the warnings, I'm guessing that's priority anyway, warnings, fire, I'm guessing that's T because it's going to be close to done. They have the done tick box right at the top. Now this is just really nerdy, but they've got the done tick box at the top, they can click things off straight away. That's just priority of order. Then they've got their priority select property, which is the warning signs, the fire, etc. Then they have the date, and I'm assuming some of these are projects by the look of this because it's over 3 days. So that's a project, so they can see how long the project or task is. I'm guessing this is just one database. So things for them is my tasks and projects. That would be for me. You can also see that they've got the time, so how long that thing is going to take them. They've got the week it's in, so they're showing lots of information just in that one card, and they can make it disappear by just clicking the done tick box because it's interactable right there. Then they have another version of this database. I'm guessing there are filters on these. I don't know what their filters are, but this is an inbox, so I'm guessing these are things to do today, maybe. And again, it's the same thing, but they're not showing as much information. So it looks like this is a today's task overview with all the information, and then this is an inbox. Maybe this inbox is something that they've just added. I'm not sure, but it's a very nice layout. Something else to note is they've got them in toggle blocks, so they don't have to actually show these. Again, they can just hide them away. No, I was wrong. They do have a projects database, but their projects database is further down. So I'm guessing up here, these tasks that are slightly longer, maybe they're relying on someone else, or maybe their tasks are just longer than how I would personally do them. But yeah, so they have a projects database. Something really cool aesthetically to note is they've actually colored the toggle. So because these databases are in toggles, this one's in green, all the writing inside of this toggle will be green. So the database writing is green. You can see the tick boxes are green. Then as you scroll down, their projects, that's yellow, the event schedule is red, so they've color coded the database views. And just looking at this projects database, you can see obviously they've got their progress bar in here, so I'm assuming that's a roll up from the tasks. So they've got their tasks, they're rolling it up, showing the progress right here in this progress bar. They've got their status as a select property. Nice idea, nice idea. Now this is obvious to see. They've got their task database, their projects database, and their areas database. Now for me, I'm just guessing here, but this area, I'm guessing, will have all of those linked database in there as well, so they'll have dashboards in there, which is basically the same as how I work with Notion as well. So this is a very consistent space across from what I'm seeing with most users. When you look at August Bradley, Marie Paulin, John Stewart, the other Notion nerd, myself, and a lot of the other Notion ambassadors and loads of other people that use Notion, they have tasks, projects, areas, and then some sort of habit tracker or reminder, and then they link all those four main databases together, and you've got that in here, which is very nice. And I'm liking the colors. I'm liking those colors. That is interesting though. I'm curious as to why they've done their daily habits like this, because like I explained earlier, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're very, very limited with what you can do. I'm guessing it's so they can see this percentage down here, but you can do that with a formula anyway inside of Notion for the day. You can just grab the percentage of the tick boxes going across as a day. So I'm guessing there is another reason for this. Maybe they're not going to look at everything in the past and they just want to see the week. It does mean they need to reset these though, because I don't see a template button in here. So they would have to, at the end of the week, reset all of those tick boxes. I mean, if that's what they want to do, then go for it. Just seems a little bit odd that that's how they've chosen to do daily habits, but hey, if you have a template you want to share, make sure you link it in the comments below so I can go have a look and see what you guys are up to. I just give up with outros. Watch one of these two videos and I'll see you there.